everyone, my name is Jahan and today is Saturday. Now I'm having one of those rare weekends where I've got nothing planned. So the idea for this video is to do a 24-hour readathon. So let's talk about the books I'm planning on reading during this 24-hour readathon. I have a pile. You might be thinking, Jahan, that is very presumptuous. You're going to read all of that in 24 hours? I'm going to try. Now, the book that's top of my list during this readathon is Babel by R.F. Kuang. I need to finish this book by Tuesday because Tuesday is when I meet up with my book club and we're going to discuss this. If you watched my last video, you saw that I was reading a little bit of this last week. I ended up putting it on hold because I read a fan fiction that devastated me and I needed to heal from that. So I'm excited to pick this one up again. Let's see, I'm on page 237, chapter 14. I've got about 300 pages to go before I finish it. So yeah, this book is high on the priority list. The next book I'm planning on reading during this readathon is Wandering Souls by Cecile Pin. Now, this book has been longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction. I'm reading all of the nominations, all 16 books, which honestly, I need to get a move on because the shortlist is announced next week and this would be book 5. If you've not heard of this book, it is very sad, so this reading vlog might actually turn into a crying vlog, but we'll see. So just a little bit about this book. We follow a family. It's during the Vietnam War and they're planning on fleeing Vietnam and going to Hong Kong. Now the family are split into two. The siblings are all on one boat and the rest of the family are on another, and only one family actually makes it to Hong Kong. So yeah, very sad read. I've heard nothing but good things. People are crying about this book on TikTok, so very high, again, on the priority list. Not as high as Babel, but it's up there. I would also like to read a little bit of poetry this weekend. So I've got here Couplets by Maggie Milner. It's a very short poetry collection. It is told as a love story through poems, which I think is very fascinating. Faber very kindly sent me this, so yeah, hopefully I can get to this. And the final 3 books, or should I say manga volumes, I want to read this weekend are the first 3 volumes of Ouran High School Host Club. If you don't know, I'm a big manga fan. I love reading manga. I got into it when I was in high school, so I actually read this series. I believe there's, I think there's like 18 volumes. Oh, sorry, I just had to look at my shelf. I read it for the first time 15 years ago, and since then, every couple years, I will just do a reread of the whole series because it's one of my favourites, for sure in my top 5. So let me tell you about the premise. Now, you might think it's really weird, but bear with me, I promise you it's really good. So this whole series, Ouran High School Host Club, is set in Japan. It is set at a very, very exclusive high school that's only for the mega rich. So it's not just a private school, it is just the best school in Japan and only rich people can go there. We follow a girl called Haruhi who gets a scholarship to go to this school, so she's like the only poor person in the school of rich, out of touch people. One day she's looking for a room to study in and she enters this random room in this gigantic school and accidentally smashes a vase which she doesn't know is worth like hundreds of thousands of pounds. She's got no way of paying that back. So the group that uses that room for their host club, which is where it gets a bit weird, says, don't worry, you're a boy, because they think she's a boy because she's got really short hair and she's like wearing baggy clothes. They say, come and work in our host club and then slowly repay your debt. So predominantly this series is a comedy. It's the funniest manga series I've ever read, hands down. It actually has me laughing out loud, crying. It's that funny. And no matter how many times I read it, because I do reread it often, I can't. It's so funny. And the romance is really cute. There's a little bit of like a love triangle, square maybe thing going. I just adore this. I am very excited today to read the first 3 volumes. Plus they're manga, so it's really easy to read. Side note, if there's anyone that's interested in manga or like manga recommendations or like how to get into manga, let me know because it's one of my passions that I actually don't talk about too much. And yeah, I just want an excuse to talk about it. So here are all the books I'm planning on reading. Will I read them all? Probably not, let's be realistic. But hopefully I can at least finish one, make a good dent in another, maybe read 1 or 2 volumes of this and maybe a few poems of that, I don't know. I am feeling in the reading mood, so we'll see. So it's currently 3:46. I am going to start the readathon now and end it at the same time tomorrow. Actually, let's round down. I'll end it at 3:45 tomorrow. There's a paragraph at the end of chapter 13 which I absolutely adore. It says, "For simple ink on paper was not enough to describe this golden afternoon, the warmth of uncomplicated friendship, all fights forgotten, all sins forgiven, the sunlight melting away the memory of the classroom chill, the sticky taste of lemon on their tongues, and their startled, delighted relief." I love words. I just think that's really stunning. I'm now on chapter 15, so I thought I would share my thoughts. One of the main themes in this book is academia, and I really enjoy that because I'm learning a lot of stuff. The authors definitely had to do a lot of research for this book. But another theme that I'm really enjoying is friendship. So we've got this little group. We've got Robin, who is from China. We've got Remy, who's a Muslim from India. We've got Victoire, who is a black woman, and Letty. Letty is a white woman from the UK. And I just think this group has come together and they're so, at least in this point of the book, they're so understanding of each other. I just read a page where it's after that farce, that like ball that they all went to, and it didn't go well. The girls got harassed, so they went to this rooftop, and there's this word that the author uses. It says ibasho, and it means whereabouts, a place where one feels like home, where they feel like themselves. And I just think that perfectly sums up this friendship group. Like in this book we see a lot of references, like for example with the character Remy, he prays, he speaks, you know, words in Hindi, in Arabic, and it's just normal, like no one questions it, and I think that's really, really lovely. So the friendship in this book, at least at this point, unless there's some grand betrayal coming, it's just stunning. I loved how protective everyone was over Victoire and defensive. Yeah, really enjoying this. Something fun about reading Babel are the footnotes. So you'll find like a little asterisk and then you can read a further information, which is another reason why a lot of this does feel like you're reading a textbook, which I'm not complaining about because you do learn a lot whilst reading this. It's now 6:10. I've been reading for like the past 2 hours on and off, and I'm up to chapter 21. Now, my friend Noni told me chapters 21 to 24 of Babel are wild, so I'm going to now read those. And honestly, from chapter 17 onwards, it's been go, go, go. No spoilers, but something significant and huge happened in chapter 18 or 19, I can't remember, and since then I'm just kind of like addicted. So going to read up to chapter 24, then share my thoughts, and then I think I'm going to take a break and do something different. Okay, reading update. I got up to chapter 24. I have about 120 pages left until I've finished. What did I just read? I don't want to give spoilers, but you know what? I jinxed myself earlier when I was talking about the friendship is so beautiful in this book. What? No! I am actually quite heartbroken over what I just read. So much has happened. I can't with this book. It makes me feel feral. I feel so angry. I feel so betrayed. If you are thinking about reading this book, just know that it will break your heart, because I feel like my heart is very much broken right now. I need to take a break from reading this book before I finish the last 120 pages, so I think I'm going to get some dinner and then maybe watch some Harry Potter. I've been doing this like Harry Potter marathon. I've got the last part of the Chamber of Secrets to watch, And then one of my favourites, Prisoner of Azkaban. I'm really excited to watch that one. So I'm gonna go do that. So fun fact about me, I collect everything. I am a collector at heart, and one of the things I do collect are Sylvanian families. I have had this for a good few months now and I've just never built it, so I thought, you know what, it's a chill Saturday, let's build it. Also, very random, but I got a present yesterday. I got this jelly cat. It's so cute. And then I also got the dining room set, which I'm going to put in my Sylvanian family house. Right, so I've put all the windows in, I've made the little balcony, and this is what it looks like closed, but you can, of course, just open it up, and it's got plenty of room. So update, it is now midnight, I'm in my pyjamas, I'm about to head to bed. I did end up reading the first volume of Huron High School Host Club. This is a really good introduction to manga. If you're curious about manga, I do recommend this series. It's just hilarious. I love it. I cannot wait to continue tomorrow. I'm also going to read the last 120 pages of Babel tomorrow. This will be the first thing I read tomorrow. I stopped reading at a really critical point and I've not stopped thinking about it since, so I'm really looking forward to finishing this. So I'll check in tomorrow. The readathon ends at 3:45. I'm going to be reading as much as I can up until then, but for now I'm going to head to bed. Hey everyone, it's now the next morning. I am doing my makeup because I'm actually going to head out a little bit earlier than I thought today. But the first thing I did this morning when I woke up was finish the last 120 pages of Babel. So final thoughts on Babel. I adored this read. It felt like I was reading a masterpiece. R.F. Kuang is definitely one of my favourite writers of all time. I've read The Poppy War and I'm really excited to read her latest book, which is coming up very soon, called Yellowface. I've actually got tickets to go see her in person for a signing in May, so I'm really excited for that. The characters in this book were exquisite. I felt a deep connection with one character in particular called Rami. I just think this book had beautiful representation, and a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of R.F. Kuang's books are based on actual history. So this is based on, you know, the Opium War in Asia, and knowing that just makes this book all that more devastating. I felt like I learned a lot reading this book. I felt like I now know a lot of random facts about different languages, which is always really nice. Another thing R.F. Kuang does, which I really appreciate, is as an author, she doesn't really focus on romance in her books, and there was a very subtle hint to a romance in this book. I believe it was literally one line which made me think. And I kind of like that it wasn't developed further than that one line, because sometimes romance can take away from other aspects of the book. And in this case, there were so many more themes that were more important, that needed to be explored, more than any sort of love line. I'm gonna try and do my eyeliner with one hand. Overall, I gave Babel 4/4.5 out of 5 stars. Obsessed. And it's also the first book that I finished in this readathon. So far I've finished 2 books. That's Babel and the first volume of Uran High School Host Club. I have a little bit of time before I have to go out, so I'm going to read a little bit of poetry. I've got a present that I need to wrap, and yeah, just sort of have a chill Sunday morning. I'll check in with you later. Right, I'm now going to read some poetry. I love poetry. I never used to, so when I was in high school, the kind of poetry you're forced to read, that wasn't for me. But in the past 2 years, it's just become something I really love. I'm very picky. I don't like the cliche cheesy stuff, but the collection I'm going to be reading today is Couplets by Maggie Milner. So Couplets, I believe, is Maggie Milner's debut, and one of the quotes in the back says, "Couplets is a knockout, a brilliant, erotic, coming out fever dream of controlled yet wild intensities. I can't wait for people to read it." Like, hello? Yes, please. I'm also going to do some annotating. So, I've got my tabs. I've got some highlighters. These are my Miffy highlighters. I'm going to see if I can find just a very plain light colour. So, we've got like a pastel-y yellow. Perfect. So with poetry, often I find that I'm not a huge fan of the whole poem, but there's like a few lines that really stick out to me. So I've got an example right here. It says, "My eyes loved everything it fell upon, and then one day it fell upon a mirror, and he was nowhere in the mirror, and she was everywhere." It's now 3:45. That marks the end of my 24-hour readathon. Going to do a final wrap up and give my thoughts on everything I've read. So the readathon is now over. I'm going to talk about all the books I managed to read, the books I didn't manage to read, and just give my final thoughts. So my goal during this readathon was to finish Babel, which I managed to do. Loved this, ended up rating it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It felt like such a magnificent read. R.F. Kuang is such a talented writer. I think I will forever be a fan of this author, and I will read anything that they publish. So I also managed to read volume 1 and volume 2 of Uran High School Host Club. I didn't get to volume 3, but that's okay. I'm going to read this tonight. So there's this really funny scene. Haruhi is the poor scholarship student, and everyone else is mega rich and super out of touch. And Haruhi brings coffee one day, and it's that instant coffee you get like in a jar from like Tesco's, and everyone's like up in arms like, "Oh, we've never tried this, we want to try it." It's just really funny, and I highly recommend it. If you're looking to get into manga, this is a really good series to start with. I also read a few poems from Couplets. So far this is stunning. It is so beautiful. It's about a woman that's got a boyfriend, but she wants to explore her sexuality with women, and it's told as a story but through poems, so it's very cohesive. And I've already highlighted a bunch, I've already tabbed a bunch. Cannot wait to continue with this. Now sadly I didn't read any of Wandering Souls, but that's okay. This is going to be my main read for the next few days, and I'm going to slowly read it and savour it. I've heard nothing but good things, so I'm mega excited. So yeah, like, I know I didn't read everything, but I think I did a pretty decent job. I had a very chill reading weekend, which is always lovely, and it was a lot of fun. I might actually do another 24-hour readathon in the future, maybe with some friends this time. I think that would make it more fun. If you like book content, follow me on TikTok. My username is @tiggysbooks right here on the screen. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, all of that jazz, and I will see you in my next video.